I'm your huckleberry.
This is the Smoking Guns Podcast.
No G with a Z, POD. Welcome to the Smoking Guns Podcast, a podcast that some inside the San Antonio Gunslingers organization have referred to as uneducated. We are the Smoking Guns Podcast. We're a podcast that deals with football in San Antonio, specifically football around the San Antonio Gunslingers of the Indoor Football League, the only football game running in San Antonio at this point forward. The promise are done. The Caballeros, unfortunately, never made it out of the gate. So the Gunslingers are all there is, and that's what we're here for. I am Philip Higginbotham. I'm one of your hosts for this afternoon, evening, whatever you would call this morning if you're listening another time. I'm joined, as always, by my good friends, Leonardo Yamas.
What's up, Smoking Guns Posse?
And R.C. Woods.
Hello, beautiful people. Well, beautiful people who are watching this special day, this special episode, I want you to join me as we sing Happy Birthday to Philip. I'm going to do something a little different. While I'm singing it, I'm going to be signing it to you also, Philip. So on a count of three. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Philip. Happy birthday to you. And many more.
And many more. Happy birthday, Philip.
It is. It's my
Happy
birthday. Today, I turned 45 years old, 45 revolutions around the sun, hoping for 45 more, at least. Thank you so much. It has been a very normal day. In fact, we went out and celebrated last night with the family because we had the show today. And my wife was like, "You're going to do a show?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's Monday. It's show day." So we had to go to Texas Roadhouse yesterday instead of today.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Fine with that. It is a special day, not just because it's my birthday. It's also Kali Rashad's birthday.
Happy birthday,
That's right.
Kali.
Happy birthday.
And it's a Victory Monday.
Yeah, baby.
Even better. Even better. The San Antonio Gunslingers go up to Tucson, take on the Sugar Skulls, and whoop them. That is an educated term for you. Whoop them. From beginning to end. Mm-hmm. From beginning to end, from the starting gate all the way through the game, they were in control, never let off the gas, did exactly what they needed to do, and we're going to spend a lot of time talking about that today. We also have a special guest that will pop up a little later. There you go. Yeah, just a clue. If you're watching online, you may be able to see a clue as to who we have scheduled to come in a little later today. I really originally thought we should get Kali because Kali had an incredible game, but it's also his birthday. And while I will do a show, I'm not going to tie someone else into the show. And then we're going to finish up today with a bunch of upcoming news for the Gunslingers. We've got an upcoming retro night we've got to talk about on Saturday. And then later this month, we have football camp and 6 shooters camp to talk about and make sure everybody is set for and ready for and getting signed up for. Lots going on in the Gunslinger world, but let's start with a 48-28 victory over the Tucson Sugar Skulls. Leo, I'm not even sure I need to ask this question. How do you feel about that? How did that feel?
Best game of the season by our San Antonio Gunslingers by far. Like totally dominant. Also, both sides of the ball. I got to give kudos to the defense this week. They were tremendous. They definitely stepped it up from last week after being, part of the issue in that loss, as well as, the Bay Area just being a heck of a football team. Right. I don't want to dog on them too hard, but the defense really, really came to play this week. and the offense just didn't lose a beat. I mean, I think they were perfect possession wise outside of like the possessions that didn't really matter, like the
Correct.
ones to end the halves.
Correct.
Yeah.
They were. They scored points on every possession that was not cut short by the clock. I think is the way you could phrase that. That would be correct. Which is just amazing. You said, Leo, just now that it was their best game of the season. I would tend to disagree with you. I do not think it was their best game of the season. I think it is possibly the best game they've played in their IFL tenure. There is only one game that I think challenges it. It was last year on April 18th when we played the Tucson Sugar Skulls and beat them 60-36. But I think this game was even better because of where we were. April of last year, we didn't know what we were.
Mm-hmm.
The end of May this year, we're struggling to form that identity, and this could be the linchpin that turns the whole season. We know that didn't happen in April of last year.
No.
Even though it was a wider margin of victory, it was not the thing that turned everything around. It did for like 2 weeks. We beat Frisco the next week, which was a big thing. But then past that, we just kind of floundered a little more. But I think it is. I think it was I think you could mark it as the most impressive win that they have had as a member of the Indoor Football League, not just this season. I think it's
as the IFL.
Yeah.
You know what? I won't disagree. I think you're right.
And what makes it even more amazing, Leo, is that we went up against a quarterback that is better than Sam Castronova.
Yes.
What?
And look how that defense contained him and kept them. I mean, they dominated a quarterback who is better than Sam Castronova. That's right.
If you will remember early in the season, first episode of the season, as we were talking about camp, we had somebody on here that said that 3 quarterbacks in camp were better than Sam Castronova. One of those quarterbacks in camp at the time, Jorge Reyna, who now is the starting quarterback for the Tucson Sugar Skulls.
Right.
Jordan Stubing said, "I'm almost
wrong."
Jordan Stubing saying, "I'm almost tempted to say they should wear white for every game left in the season. Maybe, like,
Hey,
if you're
maybe.
superstitious, then
I am firmly in the Michael Scott sort of category. I am not superstitious, but I am a little stitious. There's a reason I'm wearing this hat tonight. I wore it last week and we got a win, so back on my head tonight for the show. I'm a little stitious. Sure.
Leo, what mug were you drinking last week?
Right? What were you drinking?
What was I drinking last week? You know, even I think James Palmer even asked me, and I showed him what I was drinking out of. Gosh, darn it, I might have to go get whatever it was.
Well, drink it again this week. I will say they looked like they were having fun, and that was the key thing. They looked like they were gelling together. They were meshing together. Well, any adjective that you want to say put together, that was them. And they did it with fun. You could tell that they were enjoying themselves. They were excited. They were pumped up. I mean, it was just wonderful to watch. Very entertaining. And that's the key thing. Because I have fun either way at the games. But when you see the players enjoying, interacting with each other, playing, and that's really brings it up to another upper level.
It felt like it was all coming together. And so do we know that is what it is? Or there will be some out there that are just like, well, yeah, you did that, but you did it against Tucson.
It doesn't matter.
I will remind everybody that Tucson, as much as their history tells you that it's just Tucson, over the last few weeks, they've had some pretty solid games.
They have.
They beat the Arizona Rattlers, one of the best teams in the Western Conference in the IFL. They beat them.
Mm-hmm.
And then they gave the Bay Area Panthers last week all that they could handle, ended up losing that game 68-57. but it was a lot closer than anybody would have thought. And so, see, here's James Palmer already coming in with this theory. Was it that, or just that the Sugar Skulls are that bad? I don't know.
You can only play the team. You can only play the team that's in front of you, and regardless of who's in front of you. And I will agree with everything you just said, Philip. The Tucson Sugar Skulls have been competitive and playing very well lately. They had a bye week, so they had a week to prepare for us, but they weren't prepared, obviously. Because if you think about it, when you play the Gunslingers, I think that's changing now. What do you prepare for? Because we've been inconsistent up to this point, up until the last, 1 or 2 games, where, it's kind of an unknown entity. But I think after this week, the Gunslingers are known and people are paying attention. But you can only play the team that's in front of you. And
Right.
The way you gauge it is the execution. We had Coach Bain on here and he preached execution and how that needs to get better. And, that's how you gauge what your team has, regardless of who's in front of you. And execution wise, like I said, the Gunslingers is best game since they've been in the IFL. As Philip said, they dominated on both sides of the ball from start to finish. It was very impressive. It didn't matter who they were playing.
Right. Exactly. They looked like a well-oiled machine all the way through. And look, is some of that lucky puck luck kind of bouncing your way? Sure. That first kickoff that we kick right into a player and it jumps up in the air and we end up falling on the ball.
Yeah.
Is that just a lucky bounce? Sure it is. But how many times have we been on the other side of those lucky bounces,
mm-hmm.
and it's demoralizing. It starts hurting. Yeah, I feel like something like that, very similar to that, happened to us a few years ago against West Texas. I want to say it was West Texas, where almost exactly the same thing happened. We were supposed to get the ball early, and a kick went off a player on the front line of our kickoff return and up in the air, and West Texas recovered it, and we could never recover. We never got our feet under us. I think we won that game, but it was one of those where you won the game. Not like this, where
Mm-hmm. I remember
they were in
that.
control of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know one thing I said last week was that you can't go a quarter and not score. So the lowest scoring quarter that we had was the fourth quarter when we had 7 points. If you look at the Sugar Skulls, their first quarter, they had 0 points. They scored 0 points. So I think at least we weren't like last week. Every quarter we scored. So I think that really added to why we kept the points coming and we never let up.
Right. And then
go ahead.
And on the same point of the defense, if you're looking at the box score, like RC said, through 3 quarters, the Sugar Skulls had 12 points. I mean, they had 6 in the second and 6 at the end of the third, 6 more. So, I mean, it was just top to bottom a spanking. If I had more time today between work and when we had to do this show, I wanted to stop at H-E-B and buy myself little sugar cookies, the Sugar Skull cookies, and just munch on those in milk during the show, because that's pretty much what the Gunslingers went up to Tucson and did. They had their cookies and milk.
8 possessions for the Gunslingers on Saturday night. 8. One of those possessions was only a 16-second long possession at the end of the first half. 7 of 8 possessions were touchdowns.
Gotta love it.
Impressive.
7 of 8. The only one that wasn't was the 16-second possession at the end of the first half. That's it.
And when was the last time that happened, Philip?
I can't think of a time. I can't think of a time.
Not this year.
Yeah, I mean, you might be able to go dig back into last year and find times that we scored on all or most, all but one possession, something like that. But remember, that was last year when we had a defense that leaked like a sieve, and they were also scoring on every possession. which makes it very hard to win a game. On the flip side of that, just this is, in so many ways, this is the story of the game. Tucson had 7 possessions instead of 8 because we stole one. They had 7 possessions, 4 touchdowns, an interception, a turnover on downs, and then a field goal attempt. And that's it. That is your game right there.
That's it. Yep.
Right there.
And that means we dominated on, to your point, Leo, both sides. Yep. We dominated offensively. We dominated defensively. We dominated special teams wise. We took control of this game right from the jump and never let go, never gave them a chance. I texted you, I texted Ralph mid-game, right around halftime, and I said, keep your foot on the gas. Mm-hmm. This is no longer about Tucson. It's unfortunate that they have to be the ones on the other side of the field for this, but this is about proving to your team that you are who you know, this is how it's supposed to work. This is who you are. And so you got to build that confidence with every possession of this game. And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah. Yeah. It's about building confidence and like you said, the team, when you mean the team, you mean themselves, like the players and coaches, so that they have confidence in this and they can show each other like, this is what we're capable of. And that brings me to a point. We had a comment a little while ago from Palmer right here. Leo, no field goals.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, while I still believe you kick the field goal on 4th and ridiculously long, because it's almost like a punt if you happen to miss it and you're on the other side of the field and say it's 4th and 8, or you had a penalty and it's like 4th and 18 or something, I still believe that might be the better call. What I said earlier was, until we get our offense in a groove, until we get that cohesiveness offensively where we're comfortable converting on 4th downs, we should kick field goals and take the points. I think we're almost to that. We might already be, judging from this last game, but I'd like to see another game, but of consistency where, I 100% agree. You go back to the traditional thinking of the indoor game, and on 4th down, you go for it. But we definitely have not been at that level offensively up to this point in the season. This game, they could not be stopped. They could not be stopped.
5 for 5 on 4th down conversions. So if they're able to do that, then why kick field goals? And that's a great segue for us to bring on a guest.
What?
We've been talking about him for weeks. We have really enjoyed everything that he brings from the very moment he stepped onto the field and kicked a deuce. He has been the thicker kicker. His name is Tyler Huddle, and he's with us now. Tyler, how you doing, sir?
Good. How about yourselves?
Hello.
We're doing great.
Hey, Tyler.
Hey, I'm going to throw you right in here because you happen to jump into the conversation as we were talking about this most recent game there in Tucson and the fact that no field goal attempts here because we didn't need to, because we were in control of the game. Does that bother you at all as the kicker? Are you okay with sitting on the sideline and enjoying kicking a few extra points and that being your night?
Oh, most definitely, because that means we're doing something right. And guess what? We came home with that W, so can't complain about that, huh?
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Tyler. I know that you've been on Branded. I know you've been around for a while, and we just finally get a chance to have you here on the show. But tell us who you are and where you're from and just some information about you so that folks can get to know you.
So a little fun fact, I was originally born and raised in the Philippines, actually.
Okay.
I lived there for 12 years. My dad's from North Carolina. My mom's from the Philippines, and my dad moved over there for his job. And then 12 years old, we moved to McKinney, which is north of Dallas. Mm-hmm. And I've been living there ever since. And then I played one semester at St. Olaf College, little D3 up in Northfield, Minnesota. I was like, this ain't Texas. I went back home. And then I transferred to Trinity, and I've been here ever since. I love it down here.
So, we love you.
Yeah.
Look, this is a crazy connection to make, but St. Olaf, Minnesota,
The Golden Girls.
it's Golden Girls. That's immediately what I thought of. That's where Rose comes from on the Golden Girls. It's St. Olaf, Minnesota. That has to be a thing there when you're going to school there. That has to be.
My grandma was excited when she heard about that. She was like, "It's the Golden Girls."
From McKinney, look, I got to ask you something that I know you're probably hurting like I'm hurting. I hear that you are a Dallas Stars fan since you're from the North Texas area.
I am, and it sucks. And
it sucks right now.
I'm also a Canes fan as well. So both my teams gone.
Oh, see, I can't get on board with the Carolina Hurricanes because their owner, Tom Dundon, is the guy who killed the AAF back when we were doing the Commanders show way back in the day. Yeah.
Wow.
So I can't get on board with your Hurricanes, but I am also a Dallas Stars fan. Apparently, a couple of games ago, the last home game we had, Dallas was playing in Game 7 of their Stanley Cup playoff series, and one of our listeners, I'm sure he'll pop up here in a few minutes, was checking the score, and you walked by and stopped and like looked at his phone and was like, wait, go back to that. Let me see. Are the Stars winning or not? Because it was Game 7. Like it was
important.
It was important. Very important. So what brought you down to San Antonio? Just other than school. That's it?
That's it. That's
Trinity University?
Well, so I heard about Trinity because one of my old teammates from high school, his name was Ezra Gore. He was playing at Trinity, and he loved it ever since. And I was like, "Hey, how do you like it down there?" And he was telling me all about it, and he put me in connection with the coaches, and I can't complain ever since being down here. I love it down here. I don't really plan on moving back up to Dallas. I don't know if my parents like that or not.
News to them.
McKinney, north of Dallas by about 40 minutes.
45.
Yeah. My wife is from Princeton, which is right next door to McKinney, and she went to high school there. My sister-in-law lives in Anna, so I know that whole area.
Oh, yeah.
My daughter went to Austin College there in Sherman, which is just a little bit north of McKinney. So we've been through there many times. And then kind of similar to you, Tyler, my son played Division III football up in Iowa for a stint and did the same thing you did when you went up to Minnesota. He was like, "This ain't Texas, that bitter cold." He one season and he was done. He was like, "I'm going back." He came back and ended up he ended up at Southwestern.
What was he there?
He finished in ask me was it 23 or 22?
We probably played him.
You might have. Yeah, because same division. You guys were in the same conference. Yep.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Feel bad for him. We whooped him.
So I know, Tyler, we're friends on Facebook, and I saw a picture of you with Trinity. I think you were graduating, and you already had a Gunslinger helmet. So tell me how you kind of got connected with the Gunslingers.
So y'all know T.C. Stevens.
Yep.
Man, the myth, the legend. He actually messaged me on Instagram. And so my best friend and I, we buy and sell exotic game animals. And I was actually hauling a load of Axis out, and I get a DM from him. I was like, "Oh, what is this?" He was like, "Hey, you have a tryout opportunity." Gave him my number immediately, and Coach Manos called me. This was that Thursday, I think, for the first Bay Area week. And I tried out, and I got signed. And then I was still in school as well. I still had 3 or 4 weeks left of classes. So I was able to play professional football while still being in college. So that was pretty sick.
That is
cool. A good story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that very first kick. Now, you'd kicked in practice. You know what the rules are. You know the way this works. But you step up to the tee in Bay Area for your very first kick, and you kick a deuce. Now, that is not something that is your usual goal. We've noticed, everybody's noticed that that's just not necessarily the game plan every time you step up to the tee. With T.C. Stevens, that was a big deal. He would go for the deuce almost every time, but that's not necessarily. Why on that particular kick did it feel like it was time to try to line that up?
Well, so when I first tried out, that was that Thursday. I've never kicked with a rubber composite ball, leather composite, and I was like, "Oh, this feels weird," you know. And I didn't really know the rules. I just knew if you made it through the ends, made it through the uprights on a field goal, like kickoff, it's 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
So we're there in the huddle. Coach Bain's like, "Let's go deep right." I was supposed to kick it deep right, and I accidentally kicked a deuce. And I came over to the sideline. I was like, "Hey, my bad, Coach Bain. I did not mean to do that." He was like, "I don't care." Just kick it."
How have you gotten acclimated to this version of the game? How different is it on your level, on that kicker level?
Mm-hmm.
How different is it from the 11-man sort of expression of the game to this cousin of the game that is different, weird, kind of odd?
Well, I have to stay a lot more focused on extra points. I've kind of struggled with extra points recently. I've just been missing one a game, which, sucks for me. But since it's a 9-foot field goal, it's a lot easier to miss, especially with how that ball jumps off your foot. So I've just been getting myself to stay locked in more, because back in college, I would, it's an extra point. You're kicking into a bigger field goal. It's 20 yards. You don't really think much of it, but I've never been more nervous kick than I've been doing now. So, it's giving me an edge, I think. I'm having fun, so.
Does the fact that you don't get a chance to practice the way you did probably in college with your battery of long snapper, holder, and yourself just over and over and again,
repetition,
dialing that in, you don't get that same opportunity here in this particular expression of the game? Does that change things a little bit?
It does a little bit, but also at the same time, we're good at being able to, after practice, me, Zach, and Kwani, we stay and get a couple kicks in as well. So that helps it a bit more too.
Gotcha.
So, yes, sir.
We got a couple
I know
of.
you probably noticed that we have that kick for cash there during the game.
I've always
and
wanted
so
to
my
do that.
husband's been practicing, and so kind of like just between you and me, what would be a good tip that I could give him so I could get that $2,500?
Kick your legs through and up, not
through and up. Okay, got it.
Through and up. And you want to, you have a little bone in your foot that's like right around there, right where the shoelaces are.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you want to hit the ball with.
Okay, I'll let him know. I'm gonna be rooting for him. I want that $2,500.
I'll take it too.
Yeah, why don't you have time
You're
just go out there, Tyler? See if you
Well,
can compete in that.
You'll see me out there all the time watching them. I always make sure to pop out and watch. I get excited for the guys.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the. Sorry, Leo. I'll shut up after this one. Tell me a little bit about the fraternity of kickers here in the IFL. I've noted, because I'm up there in my little. I do the broadcast, and I've noted pre-game when you're kicking on the field and the other kicker is kicking, you guys are palling around. You're talking. You're having a lot of conversation. It feels like there's a fraternity between you guys of kickers, no matter what your team is. In fact, I noted after the San Diego game, the first person over to
Ernesto.
Ernesto, you were one of the first people over to him after he missed that drop kick. Just kind of commiserating with him, because how that all kind of rests on your shoulders and what that's like to have to deal with the miss on something like that. Talk a little bit about this fraternity of you guys.
So the fraternities with kickers, it goes even outside of the IFL. Like all the kicking camps that you go to with all these guys, all the coaches that you have, you start to know all these guys and you get really close to them. And there's not that many specialists, especially in the IFL. There's only one per team, Right. No one really has a backup, and it's just us as a specialist. So we're the oddball out, And since this is my first year, Ernesto actually came up to me before the game. He was like, "Hey, man, I've been watching you ever since Bay Area." And he's a guy I look up to in the IFL because he's been around forever. Yes. And he's trying to break that record for most years played as well.
Yep.
By the way.
Oh, cool.
So, and he talked a lot to me, helped me out with some stuff. Bay Area kicker, Perez. My first game ever, I went up to him and I just asked him. I was like, "Hey, how do you kick squibs? How do you do this?" Because I never kicked squibs that much in college. I don't think I ever kicked one. So coming into this, I was like, "Oh, I don't know what I'm doing with a squib."
Wow.
So yeah, so I would ask them questions. We would talk, and they would help me out. And it's really tight. I would say it's tight knit, even though we're really far away from each other. We all follow each other on social media, like each other's stuff, you know. And if we have questions, they're not afraid to answer any of my questions as well when I reach out. So makes it a lot easier for me.
Wow, I really have to say, as big a part of the Gunslingers strategy that the squib kick is, and as well as you execute those, Tyler, since it's seeming game one, I'm shocked to hear you say that it was something you'd only done, did you say once before?
I couldn't even tell you if I even did one before.
Wow. Wow, that's very telling right there. Also, I was going to say earlier, I think you're a little bit hard on yourself, which professionals will do that to
Most
themselves.
definitely.
When they're competitive, but where you say, you haven't done so well lately, you're missing one a game. I mean, you've missed a couple of extra points here, and that may be true. But when you make them, I've noticed that they're right down. They're not just inside the uprights, either to the left or right. They're straight down the middle, and that shows a lot of accuracy. So I'm as a fan, it's a lot of fun to watch you go out there and kick. And when we have an opportunity to kick, field goals, I've pounded the table so far this season when the offense wasn't moving as it has in the last game. When there's opportunity to get some points and you're out there and you got a guy that's kicking it right down the center of the pipes, like Tyler Huddle is, thicker kicker, you put him out there. So
I appreciate that.
And
yeah,
then
absolutely.
also, like on the stats, you're number 3, just behind Green Bay and Jacksonville for the field goals. You got 7 out of 11 attempts. So,
Really?
I mean, we appreciate everything that you do. In our eyes, you're the best.
Wow, I did not know that. I mean, Andrew Mevis, he got a shot at the CFL for Green Bay. The guy has he's a massive leg, that's for sure.
Yeah. Couple of questions coming in from people that are watching or hanging out with us live. James Palmer asks about that onside kick at the beginning of the Tucson game. Was that kind of planned, or is it just the way the ball bounced as far as kicking it right into the teeth of the other team and letting the ball bounce where it may and winding up with possession?
Well, usually when I see them lining up real close to that hash, I try and hit them just for fun.
Sure.
Try and scare them. Trying to get them to move out the way. And I mean, this is the second guy I've hit with a football, and it worked out to our favor. The first guy was Bay Area guy, smoked him in the helmet, and that ball went out of bounds.
Right.
But you couldn't write that up again.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure.
Why not introduce a little bit of chaos if they're going to give you the opportunity and line up right in the path of the ball? Why not introduce some chaos? Who knows how it'll turn out?
Exactly, and it turned out great for us.
Right?
Yeah, sure
2
did.
offensive scoring drives back to back, gave defense time to sit around and rest.
And gives you a very possessions are so important in this game, and to steal one early and put them on their heels right at the beginning of the game is so much of the success of the game kind of is linchpinned off that kick.
Yes, sir.
Because you get a chance to go up 2 possessions before they ever touch the ball, so to speak.
Sir.
Raul Dava says, how does a kicker stay concentrating and mentally prepared for a kick, like a long winning field goal kick, when he hasn't kicked the entire game?
Well, if you haven't kicked yet the entire game, something's wrong, But
right.
But I usually go up to a wall and I like to do a bunch of leg swings. And I'm not a guy that locks. How some guys, they lock in and they're really quiet or stuff like that. I physically can't do that. I always have to mess around with people and talk. Just stay laid back, because once I get locked in, I start to think about everything too much. And I kind of think about it as a caveman way, see ball, kick ball. And it's worked out for me so far. So that's really how I do it. Just keep my leg warm, stretch it out, leg swings, and just go out and have fun. That's my mentality for it.
Do you know as soon as you make contact with the ball if you've got that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
For the most part, I do know.
Like you can feel it off your foot of, yep, that's solid.
Yes, sir. Exactly.
That's great. Jonathan Bain checking in and says thicker kicker for president.
That's my guy. My guy.
Hey Tyler, did you
How did it all start that you became a kicker? Like, how did that come about?
So in the Philippines, I used to play soccer, and then
Okay.
we moved when we moved here. My dad and I were throwing the football, and I started punting it. He was like, "You should try and kick," and it's been like that ever since. And I actually started playing football my freshman year of high school.
Gotcha.
So that's how it
Nice.
came about.
Yeah. Did you you have the nicknames going, the thicker kicker. I believe you said that. I believe that we've heard that actually came from your dad. Is that right?
Oh yeah, my dad used to call me that all the time. It was after, Harrison Mevis, I think.
Mhm.
The Mizzou kicker. That's what they used to call him there.
Yep.
And my dad picked that up, and he started calling me that. So I've had that nickname from him ever since college.
Were you aware how quickly that caught on here with the Gunslingers fans?
I really wasn't until now, probably.
We might have had a hand in that because I think I threw that
probably.
out almost immediately. Thicker kicker, which hey, us thicker guys have got to stick together, and we've got to celebrate that when one of us does really well. We've got to celebrate.
No kidding. No kidding.
This is true.
So
This is true. Hey, the broadcast actually over in Tucson. I don't know if you heard, but they were saying that you were very Janikowski-esque.
mhm.
I did. My parents. Usually after every game, I call my parents, talk to them about it, and they're like, "You should go back and watch what they said about you." And I heard that backed me up a little bit.
Never a bad thing to get compared to a guy like Sebastian Janikowski.
Oh, not at all.
You'll take that.
No.
Oh yeah, yes sir.
To that end, Janikowski used to love to run down the field on a kick coverage and lay a hit when he could. Is that Tyler Huddle too? Do you like to try to get down there and lay a hit on somebody if you can?
If I can, I will. But this past game, I thought the guy was going to run behind his blocker, and I completely missed him. And thank God I got called back.
Here's what I want to know: if we're talking hypotheticals, so you do an onside kick, and the ball happens to bounce towards yourself. Are you picking up the ball and running with it, or are you just recovering it and going down? What's your mentality?
And hopping down, because I don't think you could even return forward the ball after that as well.
On an
Can
onside
Can you
kick?
talk about your
Yes,
longest
sir. Okay.
field goal?
Well, my longest field goal was my junior year of college. We were playing our rivals, Barry College, out in Georgia. And we lost to them the year before, and they're always a great competitor. It's always us and Barry for the SAA title. I kicked a 52-yard field goal at their place to put us up, and then we ended up winning by 2 scores. That was fun.
Wow.
And then my longest try I had was against Barry this past year. It was a 57-yard field goal attempt with 2 seconds remaining. If I missed overtime, if I made it, we win. I missed it a foot to the left.
Aw.
Then we went to overtime, and I drilled a game-winning field goal in overtime. So
Nice.
it didn't end too bad.
Nice.
Yeah, it did not end too bad.
Jessica Palmer checking in on Facebook says, Tyler, I want you to know you have an amazing family. We got to meet them in Tulsa. They're extremely supportive, and we look forward to seeing each other now. They're so fun. Your family very involved.
Yes, sir. They've always been involved with me in football ever since I can remember. They've been very supportive for any sport I ever wanted to play. Been very, very blessed and lucky to have them as parents.
Yeah.
So they're always excited about it as well.
Very cool. Very cool.
And we know how excited because we're going to have a mom-to-mom interview with your mom later this week.
Yes,
So I'm
ma'am.
looking forward to that.
And that'll be a lot of fun. Can't wait to hear what she has to say.
We'll find out all your nicknames, all your funny stories.
Careful what you wish for there, Tyler. There's been some things revealed in these mom-to-mom interviews.
Alex Vaswain with a question for Leo. Leo, did you share the new end zone chant with Tyler?
No, I have not. I don't know if Tyler. I'm sure he's in his zone and concentrating, but a chant going back, the end zone chant going back to last year.
Oh, Deuce.
And it was the deuce, deuce, deuce. Well, the fan base has started to realize that for whatever reason, that's not really a part of the Gunslingers game plan so much this season. But the Rouge is something that has, you've been able to execute a couple of times already, and it seems like multiple times have just, almost been able to get. So rather than deuce, we there in the party zone in the end zone have been chanting Rouge, 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 instead of deuce. I don't know if they realize that out on the field because it sounds so similar, but yeah,
It does sound really similar. I've always thought it was Deuce.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll even hear me talking to some of y'all back there when I'm lining up to do a kickoff.
Yes.
Hey, you've been in the locker room for all three of the Gunslingers wins this year. Your first game was the one there in Bay City. Obviously, you were there for the San Diego game, and then this one in Tucson. As a fan of the organization, this one felt different. Did that translate to the locker room as well? Did you guys feel like this just felt like something clicked in a way that even in victory, the other ones didn't feel the same? Or is that just something that we kind of caught?
I think everyone was really locked in, and we all know what all of our end goal is. And I think the boys were buzzing after, that's for sure. We all had a great time, but we were coming in with a chip on our shoulder, trying to prove ourselves and, trying to show what we're really about. And I think we came out of the gate swinging, and we showed what we could really do. Just got to keep it rolling.
Sounds like a plan. Now, I know on Facebook you said you like hunting, fishing, and fixing your car. So what do you hunt?
Anything and everything. Well, mostly whitetail.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Mostly whitetail, and then we used to do a lot of duck hunting, but we just getting up at 3-4 in the morning, putting decoys out. We didn't have any more time for that, especially with all the exotic game animals we've been messing around with.
Mm-hmm.
So it's mostly whitetail, get to fill the freezer up, not have to worry about buying a lot of meat. So that's always a good thing.
And what kind of car do you work on?
Which one was your biggest fish? This big, this big?
Fish?
Yeah.
Yeah?
My biggest bass I think I've caught was 4.5 pounds.
Good size.
All right.
Good size.
That'll
That's
do.
all right. And then I'm a big fly fisherman as well.
Okay.
Oh,
Love
okay.
to fly fish. I couldn't tell. I have not. I think my biggest trout was 2.5 pounds. I've not caught a lunker yet, which is 3 pounds and above.
Mm-hmm.
I'm close. I've been close. And going back to Philip, your question about the vehicle,
What kind of car are you working on?
I have a F-350 dually.
Nice.
Love messing with that thing.
Sure.
That's a
Sure.
big truck.
Oh yeah.
What year?
Well, you sound like a true Texan.
What year is your F-350?
2017.
Okay. I got my 2014 F-150. I'm fixing to put a new head unit in here in a couple of weeks.
There we go.
Change out my stereo and get the full screen, the tablet screen right there. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm gonna be putting that in here in a couple of weeks.
Those things are great. What engine is your truck?
I've got the EcoBoost, which some people absolutely hate.
They still put work in.
Yeah, no. As much as I do with it, it works out great. RC, do you have your random your quick fire questions that have nothing to do with football for Tyler?
I absolutely do.
I'm ready.
We're gonna let you.
Are you ready, Tyler?
Always.
Okay. What's your favorite breakfast food?
Ooh, Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Taco. Your favorite breakfast taco?
Bacon, egg, and cheese.
Nice.
Okay.
With red salsa.
With red salsa. Okay. What's your top 2 songs on your playlist?
Oh, see, now this is a tough one because my playlist is 100 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
So I can't really pinpoint, but what I've been listening to a lot was one of my buddies. His name is Braxton Keith, country music singer. His song "Cozy," that's a great song. I'll put that up there. And you can't go wrong with George Jones. So probably a George Jones song.
Okay, favorite football movie?
Oh, you guys are not gonna like this. I'm not a big movie guy.
Oh,
But
Oh, no.
I'll just say Remember the Titans. I know that for sure.
there you go. That'll work.
There you
I'll
go.
say that.
It counts.
Okay, what do you like on your pizza toppings? What are your pizza toppings?
I'm a margarita pizza guy.
All right.
Okay. And last one, what do you drink?
Beer.
right.
Good answer. Good answer. Tyler, it's been great getting to spend some time with you and watching you here through the first half of the season. It's hard to believe. It feels like it's been a long season already, but we're only just over halfway through things at this point.
Yeah.
Very exciting to see you guys pull everything together on Saturday night. And I know as we head into this game with Quad City, you guys are looking to continue that momentum and show everybody in the IFL that like San Antonio's not done yet.
Yes,
If they're writing us off, they're doing so at their own peril at this point. So
yes, sir.
really appreciate it, Tyler. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. He's Tyler
Yes,
Huddle.
sir.
Tyler.
Thank you all for having me. Thank you all. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
You bet.
Y'all
He's Tyler Huddle. He's the thicker kicker, and he has been hanging out with us for a few minutes. I like that guy.
I do too.
I say we keep him around.
I say we do too.
I'm gonna let the coaching staff know that I approve. That'll carry a lot of weight with them. I'm sure that I'm excited about the kicker. No, he is exactly what we needed, which was interesting because we went into the year with some question marks at a couple of positions, one being at quarterback, which we've talked about a lot, but we really walked into the season with question marks at kicker. Kevin Didio Weber was going to be our kicker. That did not work out. And then we brought in the Jackal, and he was here for a game. And they felt like that wasn't working out. And so that was a question mark. And in both of those instances, both with Tyler and ultimately with Joaquin too, I feel like we have found really excellent answers to those question marks.
You bring up a good point with the Jackal because the Jackal was brought in. Supposedly he was going to be really good at the drop kick. And I was wondering if Tyler had, practiced that or was going to try and add that to his repertoire at all. And I forgot to ask him. Maybe he can put it in the comments or something if he's still watching, or I'll get a chance to ask him at the next game.
Sure. So let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about Tyler. He's hanging out in the green room. I can still see him down there, but we'll talk about him like he's not here.
Okay.
What what did you take away from our time with Tyler? What did you pick up there that maybe you hadn't picked up before? Either one of you.
Well, I gotta say, obviously he's a team first guy.
Yep.
But I think he's hard on himself. Like when he said, I'm missing a couple of haven't been so good lately, and I'm like, yeah, he's been excellent.
Right.
He's missed a couple of extra points in the last couple of games, but I didn't realize it was one a game. But even if it was, he's been pretty. When we needed him to be, he's been very reliable. But for him to just even mention that, that shows me that he's always trying to be, better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler said, he's been trying to learn that drop kick. Not an easy thing to do.
No,
not an easy thing to pick up just on the fly. So anytime he spins on that, I know it's a foreign sort of thing. It's a little different.
I think that being with the Gunslingers for so many years, I do like the first beginning years when there was a lot of the players had that connection to San Antonio, had that connection to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And so after speaking to Tyler, I even feel more connected because it feels like we have something in common. Not that I love all of the Gunslinger players, if they're from here or not, but I do feel like a sense of warmth when I'm able to connect with the players and know that they are from here. We feel like we have something in common.
Yeah, for sure. And kind of a quintessential Texas good old boy. Like I went to high school with a ton of guys just like that. And grew up around guys just like that, and I love that. I love that feels familiar. Does it mean that I want only that on our football team? Heck no. But I like that. I like that there are some players like that I feel connected to.
Absolutely.
I was impressed with kind of what you talked about, Leo. Just the fact that he's I've been missing a few lately, and then you pull up his numbers, and he's he's at the top of the league with so much of the things that they track around kickers, and he's number one in rouges. Like, rouges don't happen. We've been around the indoor football game for 5 years now. We've not seen this is something that has been, I think, a rule in any league we've been in. This idea of if you can tackle them back in their end zone on a kick, you get points. I even think in the NAL, at least for 1 year, it was 2 points instead of 1 point. But in any case, it's been a rule. We've never taken advantage of it. We've never had an opportunity to take advantage of it. And this year we've got 3 of them. And that sounds like, well, 3 in, 9 games. Is that really all that amazing? Yes.
Yeah.
Because I have not seen them before. And so, yeah, it's really impressive.
Especially from a dude who wasn't even doing them before he came here. Wasn't even doing those types of kicks before he came here. That says a lot that he does that so well. Like,
because
people, that doesn't happen by accident. That happens with practice.
The squib kick is just not part of the arsenal in the outdoor game.
Right.
It's just not. You don't kick the ball along the ground. There's almost no purpose to that in the outdoor game, and so it is a really foreign concept for a kicker coming from the outdoor game.
And for him to do it so much and execute it so well, that just tells me that, he's working on his craft. He's doing that behind the scenes for sure.
Do you feel, so we all know how fun, like deuces are fun. They just are.
Yeah. But
this year we've gotten these opportunity at Rouges. Are they almost more exciting? Because you see it develop. Like a deuce is kind of a quick moment. Like the kick is there and then it's through the uprights and that was amazing. But you get to watch the rouge develop and it's bouncing around and they're trying to scoop it up and get out of the end zone. And you're like, wait a second.
Yeah. Yeah. There's more to it. And then someone has to hit them, keep them from exiting the end zone. So a lot has to happen for the rouge to come to fruition. And I mean, there's definitely some more intensity to that for sure. It is definitely fun to watch.
And there's an entertainment factor in it too. Like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen?
Yeah, because the ball is shaped intentionally to bounce, in an unpredictable manner. So yeah, it is pretty cool. And I cannot believe, I honestly thought this whole time that Tyler Huddle was brought in because he was good at the squib kick. Like, they had seen something on tape and said, this guy, we could use him for this on our kickoffs. And, I honestly thought this whole time that somebody saw something on tape as far as that specifically and brought him in for that reason. And for him to say, no, it's something I never did before, I'm just blown away.
James Palmer on Facebook saying, how about that one kick that went off the post and then bounced out of bounds? Mm-hmm. He says, I did not know the rule that it started on the 5-yard line because of that. My understanding of the rule, and I'm not always right on this, and Ralph will correct me here in a minute if he's watching, if I'm wrong, but my understanding is if the returning team has the opportunity to return the ball and it bounces out of bounds, it starts on the 5. If it goes clear out of bounds, like if it's kicked out of bounds on one shot, then it comes out to the 20. Or if it hits the scoreboard or hits the net, if it just flies immediately off the tee out of bounds, it's the 20-yard line. But if you keep it on the ground and there's an opportunity for a return and then it goes out of bounds, that pins them back at the 5-yard line, The only caveat to that is I think it has to go out of bounds beyond the 5-yard line. I think if it goes out of bounds before that, it goes to where the ball goes out of bounds, or at least I've seen it ruled that way.
Makes sense.
So it's the rouge, the deuce, the rules with out of bounds kicks. All of that is adds to the kicking game in this particular expression of the game that you just don't get. Like kickoffs are boring in the outdoor game. I understand why some people, the AAF, got rid of kickoffs, which I didn't like. It didn't feel right, but I understand why some places just get rid of them altogether because it's kind of a boring play in outdoor football, not in indoor. It's fun.
No,
it's always something to happen.
It makes the kicker a really important position in the game, despite in previous years, at least, the kicking game as far as field goals not being a big part of what that game is about. But definitely, in college, I just kicked touchbacks. They just sent the big guy there to just boom the ball downfield and get it, into the end zone. Yep, or through the end zone.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the wormbirder along the ground. I love the opportunity for the ruse or the opportunity to do exactly what happened in this game and just bounce it right off that first guy in line and create chaos. Like chaos is fun to watch sometimes. And that is just a chaotic moment when it just full force goes off the front of somebody's face mask and up in the air. And now it's live. Anybody can have it. That's fun. That's a fun thing to watch and to be a part of. So we've added Tyler. Kelly Cameron asked a few minutes ago, can you speak to the dynamics prior to the addition of and then Joaquin and Tyler? Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about Joaquin specifically, about our new quarterback. And can we even call him the new quarterback anymore? 3 games in, he's our quarterback at this point. Joaquin Collazo, Leo, we were talking about this before we started the show, and I've got to be, do you want to say it or should I say it? I don't want to steal your thing, but
I'll say it right now. Joaquin Collazo, at this point, I would venture to say is the best quarterback the San Antonio Gunslingers have had under center, not named Sam Castronova.
I think that's based on the information we have and the sample size we have at this point.
Yes, based on our sample size.
I would tend to agree. And that is not a slight to anybody else that is occupied that position. We are not saying anything about David or Nate or Arvel or any of these guys. Mikkel, Guy, we're not saying anything bad about them. We are saying Joaquin is just the right fit. It just works. It works in a way that we need, that we have not seen a whole lot from gunslinger quarterbacks. What I am impressed with about what impresses me the most about Joaquin is the way he is willing, and this has always been my thing, to use his feet to get the yards when he needs to. He does not pull down the ball early and run, which we've had some quarterbacks that do, and that annoys me. One read and go is not a style of quarterback that I like. But on the other side of that, we've had more of these guys, quarterbacks that have said, I'm a quarterback, and so I am doing it with my arm. I am to the detriment of my team, going to sit in the pocket and find the outlet downfield instead of using my legs. We've had several of that. We've had a couple of those guys. Joaquin finds this perfect balance right in the middle where, yes, my preference is to use my arm. But when the clock runs out, when the bell rings and I know I've run out of time, I'll take off with my legs and I'll get what I need to get. We went 5 for 5 on 4th down, and I know I'm almost certain 2 of those 4th down were Joaquin
Runs.
running for
Yeah.
running for the first down. That's huge. That's huge.
Now, I agree 100% with you. I like also that even if he's, say, extending the play, not necessarily taking off to run, he's still looking downfield. He's still looking downfield and looking for his receiver until he makes the decision, okay, I'm taking off, I'm running with this. The other thing that I really like about his game is his ability that he's demonstrated to get the ball into tight spots with receivers when they're running with coverage, and he's able to get the ball exactly where the receiver can get it and not the defender. And he's demonstrated that ability quite a few times.
He's let go of the ball a couple of times where I immediately zero in on where that ball's headed to, and I'm like, no! And it gets right where it needs to be. I mentioned this on the one game I've called of his where he threw a ball down and away to, was that Naquan or Glenn Gibbons? Right along the end zone. It was down and away where only his receiver got to it.
I think it was Gibbons.
That's impressive. Like, there's something to that is really impressive. Mass Bandit of San Antonio. Collazo makes throws, looks so perfect and so smooth, and knows exactly how high or low to throw it. I get an opportunity to do something that many of you do not get to do. And that is I get to watch him warm up at home games. He and Reeder go out there and just throw the ball back and forth from about 25 or 30 yards away from each other. This is not any sort of slight on Zach Reeder. He throws a very good ball. But the way Joaquin throws, just an effortless, tight spiral, and looks like he is just playing pitch and catch, and then you look at it and you realize he's throwing the ball half the field and just making it look like he's not doing anything all that impressive is really amazing. And again, I'm not trying to put Zach down, but they're throwing the same distance from each other. They're standing the same distance apart, and Zach is whipping his hip, putting his, doing the things you're supposed to do, putting his whole body into the throw to get it down, putting a little more air under it, all of those things that you're taught to do to get the ball downfield. And Joaquin just doesn't have to do that. His shoulder is leading, not his hip. The ball is coming out in a nice, crisp rotation out of his hand. It's a beautiful ball. And that translates on the field. Like, you see a nice, solid throw from him most of the time. Somebody mentioned earlier he stays in the pocket and takes a hit. I like that. I never like my quarterback taking a whole lot of hits, but I do like that he's willing to stand in the pocket and deliver the ball when he needs to.
That's the one thing.
I also think that not only his skill set, but also his leadership skills, that comes across on the field. You can almost feel it. He's calm, he's cool, he's collected, and he's a leader for that team.
He is.
And I was going to say I 100% agree in the leadership. By the way, I think his teammates have rallied around him. You can just see it, because good leaders, when they're out there, they bring people up around them, and so far Collazo has done that the way nobody else has done under center so far this season. In the games that he's played. The thing that worries me, the one thing, and it kind of feeds a little bit into what you like about him, Philip, where he'll, gets the balance and he can run. The end part of that, because
he don't slide, does he?
I get so nervous every time he does run, because it seems like he always goes down and gets hit in like an awkward way or awkward position. And when he has slid, he slides kind of awkwardly. I'm hearing my own voice somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So when he's gone down and slid, which hasn't been frequently, as you said, Philip, it's almost an awkward type slide. And then when he's taken some hits, whether it's in the pocket or running, it always just seems that I go, oh man, that had to hurt. And I'm just worried at this point that, I haven't seen Joaquin play long enough to know about his durability or how he certainly seems pretty tough. He certainly seems pretty tough. But right now at this point, and I mentioned it to you during the game because there were a couple of times where the protection broke down and he took some hits. And I said, right now, Joaquin Collazo is the one guy on this Gunslingers team that absolutely cannot get injured.
Right.
Because then the team is back to, the inconsistent, question mark and where the offense is going to be at that point. And that was the only thing that kind of just gets me a little, every time he gets a hit, and I'm just getting nervous.
Kelly Cameron on YouTube says, how about the time he fumbled the ball, but then caught it and ran with it for a few? Yeah, I have these things that I say pretty regularly when certain things happen. This would be one of them. You don't have to dribble. It's not required in this sport. Please don't dribble the ball. That's not the way that's supposed to work. The other thing I say all the time, and we saw it come to fruition this time, and it was a scary moment. Every time I see a player hurdle other players, I am reminded of Major League. Major League, there is a moment, the movie Major League, there is a moment where Wesley Snipes' character does an over-the-shoulder kind of like basket catch a la Willie Mays because he fancies himself a Willie Mays kind of guy. And as he's coming back to the dugout, his the manager of the team, Lou Brown, played by James Gammon, with that real thick, gruff voice goes, "Nice play. Don't ever effing do it again."
Don't ever do it again.
Every time I see a player hurdle other players, I go, that was awesome. Don't do that. Don't ever do that again. Thankfully, Keyshawn Harper was okay.
Yes.
But he did go for the hurdle. It was really cool looking, and he almost wound up having to sit down for the rest of the game. Don't do that.
Yeah,
Don't do that.
Really glad Keyshawn
Jerry always yells on the TV when he sees that, and he's like, "Keep your feet on the ground. Keep your feet on the ground."
I'm very glad that Keyshawn, was able to return, and that was nothing serious, or so it seems. But silver lining, that gave Kali Rashad some more opportunities at running back, and I think the Tucson Sugar Skulls were not prepared for that.
No.
The way Kali was running on some run plays. I mean, he had 2 rushing touchdowns, and averaged more than 5 yards a carry in this game with 10 attempts. So that's pretty darn good. So it was a great game for Kali Rashad, both running and receiving.
Great game.
If Harper doesn't go down with that, then I don't know that was actually part of the game plan or not.
Right. Alex McSwain mentioning Joaquin is a rookie. He's still learning the indoor game. That is true. That is very true. We got to steal. Look, Iowa's going to kick themselves. I really believe Iowa's going to kick themselves. They let this guy go. They released him. Like, let him go for nothing. And we wound up with him. Speaking of players being let go, I know we all know, and I know we were paying attention, but it seems like we mentioned these sort of things just offhanded. Oh, by the way, this happened at the end of last week. And some people don't know. DJ Myers asked for and received his release from the Gunslingers near the end of last week. He posted something on Facebook, very classy, as you would expect, for DJ to post something about how he's not done with football and he's ready to move forward. I look forward to where he winds up. We've talked for a couple of weeks now about this glut we have of talent at the wide receiver position, and I think he was getting to be the odd man out more often than he liked. And so he just said, hey, can I go somewhere where I can be of more use? And that makes sense. That makes sense for him. It makes sense for us. I will not be surprised if they tried to find a trade partner, but I will also not be surprised to find out that nobody was willing to trade with them, because we all know the situation, and you're going to release him if you don't find somebody to trade with, and then we can negotiate our own terms with him. So I'm not surprised. James Palmer saying he predicts he'll end up in Mass. I mean, he came here with Tom, and Tom is now the head coach in Mass. That makes perfect sense. Or Jacksonville. Yeah. Jacksonville would be a great landing spot for almost anybody right now. So,
and that happens a lot in this sport, especially in this league. So we can't be so surprised that this happens.
No, we do not see the same kind of longevity as we would hope to see. We've talked before about front of the jersey, not the back of the jersey, especially with this particular expression of the game. It's just not built for guys to stay in one place for a long time, which is what makes a guy like Kali Rashad so amazing, that he's been here 5 seasons, and I hope he never goes anywhere else.
And what makes the veteran rule so stupid?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agree.
Absolutely. If I were commissioner, you listening, IFL owners? I mean, I like my job a lot, but if you offered me a commissioner job, that I could do at the same time, I'd do both. If I were commissioner, some of the changes I would make, if you didn't let me just get rid of the veteran rule altogether, I would make the following changes. Quarterbacks and kickers exempt from the veteran rule.
Yep.
And then the other thing I would change is more than so you can only play 3 years before you're a veteran. 1 year, 2 year, and then you're a veteran. So your third year, you're a veteran. If you've played 3 years with the same organization, you are exempt from the rule.
Yeah.
So if you are a Kali Rashad sort of guy that has just landed in one place and that's where you belong, and, I would think that the IFL would want to promote that kind of longevity for players and give themselves opportunities to have longstanding stars of teams like Kali Rashad or some other player. Like, he's not the only one, I'm sure, if you went through the IFL, that is under that sort of thing, but they would get an exempt. They would still be marked a veteran, but next to veteran, you would see a star, and that is an exempt star that exempts them from being part of the veteran rule. Those are the two changes. Like, if you don't let me get rid of it altogether, which was what I would try to do first, but if you wouldn't let me do that, those are the changes I was make. Quarterback and kicker, exempt. And then anybody that's been with the team longer than 3 years, 3 consecutive years, also exempt from the veteran rule. So,
and that will also help to keep local guys local.
Yep.
Which is important for those local markets and player recognition and fan interaction and stuff like that, because you have local guys that are having to be released, or teams are being forced to release them simply because it doesn't make sense to keep them because of the veteran rule, not because they don't want to have them on their roster.
Correct.
But they have to sacrifice a guy in order to keep someone else. And it happens to be one of those local guys that the home crowd loves. Absolutely ridiculous.
And what do you think the logic came from this rule? Why did that seem like a good rule at the time?
My understanding is that this was a rule that ended up coming into play because Sioux Falls was so dominant for so many years in the IFL that they were looking for a way to break up that particular team. And that's where the veteran rule came from. That's my understanding, is that they were just looking for a way to kind of bust a team that had just kind of become the powerhouse. And they were the only ones that were going to championships. Like, you look back in the IFL and there's this period where Sioux Falls was in the championship every year and winning most of them. And so I think this was an attempt to kind of bust that up. But we're not there anymore. Like that's not
Right.
that's not where we're at now. And fine, you want to keep it in place because you don't want that to happen again. Great. Make some changes to the rule that makes sense for the fan, for your sport. You know, there's no reason that a kicker who we love Tyler, but 2 years from now, do you want to have to give up Tyler? Because well, he's a veteran now, and we need those spaces for other guys because we got Kali and Joaquin and Tyler, and that's 3 of our 7 veteran positions in 2 years, and Naquan and Kali, it
starts to make it really tough to keep guys that are cornerstones of your fan base and organization.
Right. I think grandfathering them in makes a lot of sense. What do you got started there? I see that you're starring some stuff here. What do you got?
Well, I think because this is relative to what we're talking about, Kelly's comment here. What's the end game for these guys? Isn't this a platform to feed guys to the next level, pros? How often they go on to the CFL or NFL?
I think that it is very, very, very rare that guys on this level, like it happens. We've had it happen to one of our guys this season.
The UFL.
Yeah, Ravarius Rivers went from the San Antonio Gunslingers over to the Memphis Showboats of the UFL. So it happens. It happens a lot more rarely than it should, unfortunately. And I think that there's a lot of, we've talked about this endlessly when it comes to indoor football. There's a lot of football snobbery of indoor football is not football. It's not real football.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't count. And that's unfortunate. I think the majority of players in this game understand that this is what they, this might be the expression of their career and where they are. They are not necessarily like, they will always want to get to the next level and they will always be trying to move on to the next level. But I think the guys that have the best outlook on it realize that, hey, I want to be the best I can here. And if that leads to something else, great. But I'm working to be the best on this level if that's what it takes. Go ahead.
Sorry, you weren't done. I'll let you finish.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to emphasize what you're saying because, I think it is, as Kelly said, it's an avenue. It's a way to get to the next level for a lot of guys. They do get looks. They get scouted. We've heard of guys going to the CFL, the UFL, more regularly, perhaps. And then, there's the Kurt Warners that, the storybook guys that were in arena football and ended up in the NFL, and it does happen. But I didn't always agree with our former head coach, Coach Manas, with some things that he said or professed.
You and me both. Go ahead.
Well, I know. What we joke about it. I think we agree. One of the dumbest things he ever said was, this group of guys they're all better than Sam Castronova. Sure. We'll harp on that, over and over again. But one of the smartest things that he said that I really agree with him was when we had him on the show and he talked about, I think we were actually talking about the UFL and their objective to be a platform for players to be seen and eventually go up. And that was their goal. They didn't want to keep players there because the goal of the organization itself is to get them more tape so that they can progress and move into the NFL eventually.
Right.
And he said some guys just need to look at where they are and appreciate what they are and be the best they can be at that.
Yes.
Those weren't his exact words, but that's what his message was. Like some guy, why not be the best indoor wide receiver in the history of the indoor game? Why not work every day to be that? Or why not work every day to be the best gunslinger in the history of the organization, work, to be that. I agree with that 100%. There are some guys that are just like, I mean, I'm wearing the jersey of one, Kali Rashad, where we've talked about and said, why isn't Kali in the UFL or doing this or doing that? I'm not sure that he wants to be.
Well,
I'm
and
not
it's
sure that that's a goal of his. I think he loves being a gunslinger and where he's at and doing what he does, and and he's more than happy to fill that role and make that his legacy and be the GOAT of gunslingers.
Sure.
At least to this point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and Leo, it's almost counterintuitive because I think you have a better chance of getting to the next level if your mentality is, I'm going to be the best I can be on this level, as opposed to a mentality that says, I want to do everything I can to get to the next level. If your motivation is, I'm going to be absolutely the best I can be here, I think you have a better shot of getting to the next level than you do if your mentality is, I want to do everything I can to get to the next level. It's just a difference in your motivation, but I think it's almost counterintuitive that the way to get to the next level is to not worry about the next level. It's to spend your time here, doing the best you can here, and hoping, and maybe somebody takes notice of that, and you get a chance like Riverius to move up.
And I think another aspect is I've said it before, a lot of these players would make excellent coaches. And I think they need that, building that experience and their knowledge in the sport. So not everyone wants to go to the NFL. Maybe they just want to hone in their skills and pass that knowledge on to others. And I think that's admirable. Colin would be a great coach.
I think so. I think one day he will be. What's interesting about Cali, and I know that he's got a lot of knowledge that he can pass on to younger players. I know that's true. But the thing that makes Cali so impressive is something that you almost just can't teach. It is just a for finding and creating that you almost can't teach other people. Alex McSwain on Facebook says, in my opinion, the only ones that benefit from the veteran rule is the AFL or is the NAL and the AF1. I think you got a point. I think he's got a point. And then James Palmer on Facebook, speaking of that, could Riverius Rivers come back to us since his season is over in the UFL? Isn't it? It is. The showboats are done. My understanding, and I could be wrong, somebody correct me if I am, but my understanding is that when he got the offer from the UFL, we released all rights to him. So yes, he could come back here, I assume, but he could also go anywhere because we don't have an exclusive right to him, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that is the case. James Palmer, by the way, is spot on here. He said the commissioner, Todd Tryon, ran a team that kept stacking his team up. This is why the veteran rule exists. So when he became commissioner, he wanted to stop others from doing it so that his team would always be historically the best team. There is a cynical read that would tell you that that's why that rule exists. Yes. I do not know that that's the motivation for the rule, but you could certainly make a case cynically that that's why the rule exists at all. Just saying. Not trying to make anybody mad, Mr. Commissioner, but just saying, it certainly does look that way sometimes when some people look at it.
You don't want to make the head man in charge mad.
No.
Nah. And hey, lines are open. If he wants to come on next week and explain more about the veteran rule and why it's good for the sport, we're happy to have him.
I would love to have a show with him on, and the entire discussion is, let us tell you why the veteran rule is not a good idea, and you try and convince us otherwise.
I imagine he's had those conversations before. I imagine we are not the only ones that think that this rule is dumb. And I'm sure he has defended that rule before, and I'm sure he has his talking points ready to go as to why it is of value for his league. So I would not be surprised. I'm not sure I would enjoy that conversation because I think he has his opinion, and I know I have my opinion, and I don't think we would either one of us would convince each other.
Stalemate.
Yeah, I do.
Stalemate.
But the invitation is open.
There.
Yeah, absolutely. We would love to have him on and have that discussion because I don't like it, and I would love to have my voice heard. I also need a Roku app for my IFL network. Let's get on there.
There we go. Let's slip that in there. That would be a good birthday gift.
You know what? This was the second time this season that I tried to stream off of the browser app on my TV, and it was just atrocious. It was skipping, it was missing, it was lagging, and so I had to put it on my phone and then cast it from my phone to the TV. But when I do that, I can't text with people like I like to during games, you know. So
James Palmer on Facebook, what's he going to do? Fire y'all? Well, he can't fire us from the Smoking Guns podcast. He does not have the power to do that. However,
he's not going to fire me. I'm going to quit because I still haven't got my paycheck.
I could get fired from one of my jobs around the Gunslingers.
Oh, you could.
Joaquin Collazo, 12 of 17.
Who? What did you say?
Zoe, our quarterback, Zoe. You brought it up. I was just going. I was going with the thing, and you had to start. You had to stir up the hornet's nest. So okay, you want to smoke? You got to smoke. Zoe, 12.
I don't know who Zoe is.
12 for 17, 153 yards, no interceptions, 3 touchdowns. That is a line that I'll take every game. Is it a line that will blow you away and you just go, wow, he's an MVP? Nah. It is a good, solid game that I will take every time out of the box. Like there's nothing wrong with that game at all. 12 of 17, 153 yards. Yes.
3 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. So 4 total TDs and no turnovers.
Yep.
Every single week, I will take that. Yes,
absolutely.
Please.
Absolutely.
Yes,
that's the film that you say, this is what you need to be like. This is what you need to practice.
Mm-hmm. 3 touchdowns for Kali Rashad, 2 rushing touchdowns, 1 in the air or 1 on the reception. Incredible game from Kali Rashad. He is really just he's becoming the Kali Rashad that it doesn't feel like he's been able to be for a couple of seasons.
True.
Yeah. So the Gunslingers are now they've got they're on a roll. They've got 3 wins, and their last 2 wins, Kali Rashad was a major part of the offense.
Yep.
This win and then the last one, Kali Rashad was a big part of the offense. I don't think that is a coincidence.
Not at all. Not at all. And so let's look at where that sits the San Antonio Gunslingers. We talked last week about how this was the beginning of the climb out of the basement. I am here to report to you that even with the win at Tucson, we moved nary a spot on the standings. We are still 7 of 8. No, 6 of 8, 6 of 7 in the standings.
But
There's
you look at the you look at the 2 teams in front of us, and that puts us, if we leapfrog those 2 teams, that puts us in the playoffs with the 4th seed.
Yep.
And we now hold the tiebreaker for both of those teams.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going with that. Is while we are still in the second to the last spot, the 2 teams above us, the only team standing between us and a playoff berth, are our last 2 wins. So
how crazy is it on that? How crazy is it that the San Diego Strike Force are 5-4?
5-4.
Every single one of their games has been a conference game. They're 5-4 overall, and they're 5-4 in the conference.
Yep. Yeah, we could have a whole conversation about scheduling in this league that I don't want to have because I've already been attacking the league a little bit tonight, and I don't want to keep doing that because I do want the commissioner to come on my show sometime, and if I keep doing that, he's not going to do that. But
we love Todd.
We do. Hey,
we do.
Hey, we've worked with other commissioners. We are big fans of Todd Tryon.
Oh yeah.
Over some of the other commissioners we've worked with, interviewed, and spent time around. Big fans of Todd Tryon. So yeah, the two teams above us are both teams that we have beat every time we've played them, which has only been once. But we get to play both of those teams again later in the season. But we don't need to look at that. Like, that does not need to be our focus. Our focus has to be Saturday night, June 7th, in the Freeman Coliseum as the Quad City Steamwheelers come to town. Steamrollers.
I like Steamrollers.
Bay City and Steamrollers, and SATURDAY. Quad City Steamrollers come to town.
It's kind of how the Memphis showboats. They're always the steamboats to me, and that's what I call them. I think that's going to be the steam wheelers. We're just going to call them the steamrollers.
Here's what's great about this game. It is a winnable. I truly believe it's a winnable game, even though Quad City is on the top of the Eastern standings. They are 7-2. They are firmly holding on to the top spot in the East. And I don't think that means a dang thing, because just like we saw last year, I don't think the East is anywhere near as good as the West is.
Right.
I think early in the season, we saw this. Ralph and I had talked several times about how, it looks like maybe it's balanced out, and the parity is just kind of balanced things out, and the East and the West are evenly matched. No way. Are you kidding me? The Eastern teams are
mismatched.
I mean, Quad City and Green Bay are the top two teams in the East. In the West, it's Arizona and Bay Area. Are you kidding me? Our top two would absolutely, like, 10 of 10. The West beats the East out of those games, out of those teams.
The only team we played over there is the Tulsa Oilers, and those games didn't end up how we would like them to have.
But we weren't the team we are now.
That was going to be my point. But I'd like to see them play the Gunslingers now.
You're going to get that opportunity after Quad City. We go up to Tulsa and take on the Tulsa Oilers on June 17th in 2 weeks. But for this game, Quad City, as they come to town, they're a good team. Like, don't get me wrong. I just don't. I'm not as scared's not the right word, because I'm not scared of anybody. We've played Arizona well. We've beat Bay Area. So I'm not fearful of any team in the IFL, but I just feel like the Steam Wheelers are a little bit of I'm not going to say that. That's bulletin board material. I was going to say paper tiger, but I'm not going to say that because that wouldn't be fair. So,
well, you just said it.
No, I didn't say it. I was going to say it, but I'm not going to say it.
But you did say it.
But I just, there's nothing in the East that worries me. You've gotten to 7-2. You've gotten to 7-2 by beating Green Bay, Massachusetts, Iowa. Jacksonville is a decent win. Fisher's Freight. Tulsa. There's nothing on there other than that win at Jacksonville, and I'm not sure what Jacksonville is. I don't see a lot there.
It's not the same playing field. It's mismatched.
Their most impressive wins to me. Their most impressive win to me is Tulsa, and they split with Tulsa.
Right, and they're 7-2, much like you just brought up with San Diego. They're 7-2. All of those games have been Eastern Conference games.
Yep.
Like they played all Eastern Conference opponents, and they're 7-2. I just look. Anybody can beat anybody on any given night, and so I'm not going to sit here and go, "Wow, the Gunslingers playing the way they're playing." But man, if they come out and play the game they played against Tulsa, they're going to beat Quad
Get
City.
a W.
Against Tucson.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're right. Tucson.
I knew what you meant.
Their losses, by the way, Green Bay and Tulsa. I don't see Arizona or Bay Area losing to Tulsa or Green Bay.
Right.
I just don't see that happening.
Maybe not even Vegas. I don't even think Vegas would lose
Right.
to those teams.
I don't believe. I don't believe in Quad City. I think that we are no matter what the records say, I think we're just as evenly matched against Quad City as anybody else, and so I'm not worried about that.
No, Gunslingers are on a roll, and as far as I'm concerned, all the schedule means is that the Quad City Steam Wheelers are next in line for a nalgazo from Cayazo. I said.
Nalgazo.
Now y'all enjoy this.
Pow.
Enjoy this June 7th game because it's going to be 4 weeks before they get back here. We get into this other lull in the schedule, 2 road games, and a bye in the midst of all that. And we don't have another game back here until July 5th when Tucson comes to town. So enjoy this game, and we need to remind everybody to enjoy this game. It's going to be retro night. So I got some swag to show everybody. I got some merchandise to show off. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Missions Highlighter is confused.
So that's another good way of saying it, but on a family friendly, I don't know. Well,
Pow is good enough.
Yeah, the nalgazo, which is a spanking. The chingazo, that's a little bit more violent.
That's a little harsh. For family friendly.
So retro night. You got your wallets out? You ready? Because we've all seen, but I'm going to show it off again. We've already seen the Gunslingers, the Never Say Die, Goons Up. We've all gotten a chance to drink that in. That's the one I'm after right there. I've seen them all. This is the one I'm after. I love it.
That's not the one I'm after.
That's not the one you're after? You've gotten to see these two.
I know which one RC's after.
I do too. There's another retro jersey. There's that one.
I do like that one, but not the one I'm after.
The San Antonio Guns Up on the bottom, by the way. The what is it? Body glove? Was that what that was?
Yeah.
We were trying to think earlier. Sort of the body glove style, the Guns Up symbol in the old 80s body glove style. And they are giving away fanny packs.
Yeah, I saw that. The
before the
fanny pack
game
thing is cool.
With that logo on it or that graphic on it. So there's 2 choices, but we're only halfway there.
Wow.
Oh, we're halfway there. Living on a prayer.
Living on a prayer. Yeah.
There's this one.
Come and take it.
Retro to the max here. You can even see the old spindly legged San Antonio Gunslinger from the USFL days.
I love that. Yep, I love that. Yeah, that's back there in the background.
Nostalgic.
Kelly Cameron asking, are these the outfits for Saturday night? These are the fan jerseys that will be available in the Freeman Coliseum on Saturday night.
At the merch
All 4 of these will be available at the merch booth in the Freeman Coliseum for fans. Finally, not really a retro thing, But the one that RC wants, should we even show it? Maybe, you know what?
Yes, show it.
I think we're done with the
Oh
whole
my
jersey
God,
thing.
you have
we've
to
run
show
out of time.
it.
We've run out of time for the jerseys.
Yeah, we run out
No,
of
we
time
have
for that.
not. We have not run out of
We have to
time.
move on.
Here you go.
Yay! Ding, 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 ding.
The 6 shooters. It's on the sleeve there. The 6 shooters inspired jersey.
Love
All
it.
pink 2025 guns up jersey.
Yeah.
Not the one I'm after, but definitely the
I'm
one that
after it.
I
RC's
think it would
after.
look great on you.
Thank
pass.
you.
P. Higgy. I
Pass.
think it would look great. Now, if you look closely at the pink, it's got like this kind of paisley background on it that you can.
It
barely
does.
see.
I did not notice that until you said it.
That's
But you're right.
That's kind of cool. Maybe now you'll wear it. Now that
No.
you've noticed that little
Nope.
detail,
Nope. Pass.
I think that's
you
a
should.
no.
I
Pass.
think you should. Real men wear pink.
I would
I
get
love
these
it.
for
I
my.
absolutely love it.
I would get these for my daughters,
It is nice.
but I would
I'm
not.
gonna get that for
personally wear them.
Chessa.
Yeah.
Her birthday's coming up in July.
Very cool.
Cool.
Very cool. So there you go. 4 different options. You have the Gunslingers. You have the neon body glove. You have the come and take it with the cannon on it. I really kind of love the cannon. Big
And the
part
best
of,
for last.
and then the pink paisley San Antonio Gunslingers 6-shooter inspired jersey. Philip can't handle wearing pink. Okay, say whatever you want. I do not
I'm
need
happy.
to bow to peer pressure. I order my tacos the way I order my breakfast tacos. I wear the shirts I wear. You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall. I was thinking of a green and silver retro look. Message highlighter
cool.
says. One of these days, they do need to dip back into that USFL sort of look, like just the standard USFL green and silver and blue, full retro. There you go. Somebody else loving your pink with you there. RC.
Thank you.
Kelly Cameron says she will be looking for us 3. I can't seem to get that one to come up. There it is. Looking for us 3. You will find RC and Leo down in the party zone in the in the
end
what is
zone.
that? North end zone? No, south end zone.
That's
Where's
the
the
south
party
end
zone?
South end zone in the in the party zone. I will be high above the field, hanging out in the nosebleed section, watching the game and commenting on it. I was told the dress code for broadcast this Saturday is the pink jersey.
Unless they
That
want
mean-
me
that-
up there,
that
I
mean
don't see
you
it
would do-
happening.
You'd be wearing the pink in front of a televised audience, broadcasting.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right? I would prefer to be wearing the Gunslingers jersey, but I am nothing if not a company man. If that's what I'm told to wear, that's what I'll wear. Could y'all do the old original Gunslinger uniform? That is a question for Jordan, and I will
Jordan.
tell you, I already know his answer. No, I don't.
He was
That's enough.
he was with us earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's still here. He's the one that was just telling me that he was just saying, got to be careful.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
When it came to wearing the pink jersey, and then that's where James Palmer took over for him. Mo Ferrante, way too much pink. I tend to agree.
No, never say that out loud. Never
Dudes
too
up.
much pink.
Goods up it is. Hey, if you're still with us, make sure you get in your bull spit and bullseye for the Tucson game. That is your favorite moment in the Tucson game or this week in San Antonio Gunslingers football or San Antonio professional football. And your bull spit would be your least favorite thing that happened in San Antonio professional football this week. Bullspit and Bullseye, we're going to get to those in just a few minutes. I really just need them to come out on Saturday night and build on the momentum that they've already set. It doesn't need to be a perfect game. It just needs to be a game that doesn't feel like a step backward.
Right.
It needs to carry the same momentum through, and it needs to be a win. Like, it can't be a loss, but it needs to be a win, and it needs to carry the momentum. Jordan Stubing says, you can't say I didn't give you options. That's true.
That's true.
That's true.
Yep.
And then April pointing out that you may not be able to see it in the photo, but the pink jersey does have that bandana print, that paisley print that you were kind of talking about, Leo, is embedded there in the pink. That is correct.
I would have.
I love it.
I would have to throw some love to Jordan Stubing and add to his comment. Say you can't say I didn't give you all options. I would say that there are no others in the league who have the types of options we get.
Nope.
Because of the work that Jordan Stubing puts in, and April Stubing, as well as all the people in the background, that are working hard on these designs and trying to get them in time so that we have these ready. I mean, it's just amazing stuff.
Week
Jordan
in and week out. Yeah.
Yep. Jordan, we can't say thank you enough for these options that you give us. As you say, my closet is full of options and is just going to continue to grow. So thank you very much.
We just had a big rummage sale at the church this weekend. And as I was going through my closet this week, I was like, I need to get rid of some of the clothes I have because I have way too many clothes. My wife would tell you that's the case. And I'm going through. I have a fairly large jersey selection. Gunslingers, Dallas Cowboys. I now have a Dallas Stars jersey, Texas Rangers. I've got all of that. And I'm going through and I'm like, I need to thin out some of these Gunslingers jerseys. And so I'm looking through and I'm like, well, not that one, not the first Star Wars one is great. And the first Fiesta one is awesome. And not the Chewbacca one. And I just got the Stormtrooper one. And I'm never getting rid of this one. Like I will always wear this one that I'm wearing tonight. I ended up putting about 25 shirts in the rummage sale. None of them San Antonio Gunslinger shirts. Not a single
one. They were all Dallas Cowboys?
No Dallas Cowboys stuff either. No Dallas Stars stuff. But I did end up getting rid of a few shirts.
Well, speaking of so many choices, every morning I'm going live with a new or a different jersey that I'm going to promote the Gunslingers all week. So be sure to tune in when I go live in the morning. I'm supporting my Gunslingers.
My curiosity is piqued here. Did you see this, Leo?
April did.
April Stubing on Facebook says there may be a secret, very limited quantity of a jersey based on a horror movie from the 70s. Make sure to check out the merch booth this weekend. They will not last long.
Oh,
I almost regret that you announced that publicly.
That was an error. Nobody heard that. Or horror film.
James Palmer says, after some heated discussion with Brahma fans, it's definitely obvious they're jealous of our merch.
Of course.
They are.
Everybody is.
We've been around that Brahmas merch. That is one of the balls that the Brahmas have dropped over the years they've been here, is their merch is not good. We love our Brahmas. We are fans of our Brahmas. They do not do well when it comes to merch.
One thing you see at the Brahmas games, you see a lot of fan-made gear, and then they get in trouble for that.
Yep.
You don't see fan-made gear at Gunslingers games, so much, and there's a reason for that, because there's so much cool stuff already available to purchase.
Look at this one.
Yeah.
It's a good-looking one. I've got that one, too. Another one I couldn't give up. Bullspit and Bullseye for the week in San Antonio professional football. I will start with you, Leo Yamas. Sorry.
Okay, we're starting with me.
Bullspit, Bullseye.
My bullseye is the offense seeming to be a cohesive unit once again and in rhythm. Just the performance of the offense, the way it was, nothing but confidence in this team after that game. And I just want to see that continue consistently because that is the key for the Gunslingers' success. So seeing that on the field, it was just amazing to see that. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've seen the offense perform like that. So very excited about that. My bull spit is the broadcast team just repeatedly pronouncing my quarterback's name, Colosso, when everybody needs to know it's Goyaso. And, I'm sure people like Theo Tony and Kelly and myself are appreciate that, and Joaquin himself. But hearing them say Colosso over and over again, I know I'm being obnoxious at this point, standing up for the double L's. But it's a soapbox I've decided to stand on. For better or
There
worse.
you go.
Or you can just call him Zoe.
No.
RC.
No to Zoe.
RC Woods, your bull spit bullseye for the week in pro football.
Okay, so my bullseye would be 48-28, meaning that every quarter we scored. Because I know last week we talked about one quarter, it was a goose egg. So I love that they kept that same aggressive nature that they were able to score every quarter. My bull spit is just knowing that after Saturday's game, we're not going to have another home game until July.
True. Too true. Not until after July 4th on July 5th. Great. Get your bull spit and bullseye in if you would like. Those of you that are listening and hanging out with us, my bullseye, I'm sorry, I'll start with my bullseye, is the most complete game I've seen the San Antonio Gunslingers play ever. Not just in the IFL. This was the most complete game. Offense, defense, special teams. All of it was there. It was a complete game, beginning to end. They took control at the start. They did not let off the gas. I realize Tucson scored more in the second half than they did in the first half. Didn't matter. Well, so the most complete game I've ever seen the San Antonio Gunslingers play, beginning to end. No notes. Absolutely awesome. He said after a 2-hour show, no notes. My bull spit is not going to be anything around the San Antonio Gunslingers. It is instead going to be the debacle that became the San Antonio Caballeros of the IFA. A team that we flirted with covering this year. But as soon as we dug into it just a little bit, we saw a lot of red flags that we were just, I don't have a lot of confidence. Apparently, we know what we're talking about because they announced this week they are ceasing operations, and the IFA began, if you want to call it that, without a San Antonio franchise, which means all of those folks that got excited about it, all of those players that made their plans to be in San Antonio for the summer, all those folks, and I don't know that there were a ton of them that put down money for tickets to games, all of those people that got excited about this because a new expression of football was coming to San Antonio have once again, as so often happens in San Antonio, been kicked right in the teeth. I saw a guy today on Facebook say, well, the Brahma season's over. Now it's time to get excited about the San Antonio Caballeros.
I saw that.
Because he had no idea.
He hadn't heard the news yet.
That it had folded over the week because they are that poor at getting their news out. Even bad news, they can't get out. Sad that they get people excited once again for professional football in San Antonio, only to just kick them all in the teeth again.
And I hate that because, people follow who love football see that, and all they're going to say is, "Oh, not again! Here we go again!"
Yep.
And that carries on to the
It
different
does.
leagues, which is unfortunate.
It does nothing but a disservice to football in San Antonio to do this over and over and over again. It gives more people
Right.
more ammunition to say, why get excited about any of this? It's just going to stink. And so the Caballeros and whatever happened there. But we looked into it. If you were with us at the beginning of the season, you know that we even had the head coach right here on our show. And it was right after that show that we all just felt like there were way too many red flags and did not feel we could, in good conscience, encourage you, the fan, to be a part of it. And apparently that was the right call, because before the season started, the week the season was supposed to start, they announced their ceasing operations. James Palmer saying, I heard a rumor the Brahmas and Roughnecks may move to another city. Not sure how accurate that is. There's lots of rumors right now around the UFL as to where things might be or go or expand to. I would just say, just pay attention to what's going on. It's entirely possible that the Brahmas are done in San Antonio. I don't think that's likely, but I think it's possible. I do think the Roughnecks may cease to exist. They may go to another place. They may be in Seattle or Tampa or something like that. I don't.
Unfortunately,
I don't expect the Roughnecks.
I heard that they were giving away their merchandise for free last game
So-
just to get rid of it.
So here's the thing. I'm going to climb up on a soapbox for a minute and say the UFL, I've really talked a lot about this league and how poorly they do this. But let me tell you how poorly this is run, and it's not even hurt feelings as a San Antonio fan. Do you know what they've done to the Houston fan base? The Houston fan base in the XFL days, the XFL 2.0 was the biggest, best fan base in the XFL 2.0.
Right.
That got canceled because of COVID. That's not anybody's fault. They reinstituted in whatever that was, 21, 22, I guess. And they were still a solid fan base. They moved that team all around Houston, never landed on a solid venue. They changed the coaching staff, ripped the coaching staff that was good in Houston out of Houston and put them in San Antonio when they merged the two leagues. And then they moved again the venue, and now they can't get any Houston fans to show up. Of course you can't.
They don't know where to go.
They don't know where the games are. They don't know who their coaching staff is. You took a good, solid fan base and you wrecked them. You did it here in San Antonio. Now you did it in Houston. And now you're going to pull Houston's team, it looks like, and send them somewhere else because Houston can't support a team. Yeah, they can. When you do it right, they can. I am so tired of this UFL league. Somebody that knows something needs to get a hold of it, man.
And to add to that, it's almost insult to injury when there's fan bases that feel that they're not being, cared about or being addressed or engaged,
Acknowledged.
and then acknowledged, and then on top of that, the league is talking into to them it's a positive light. They're talking expansion. Like, are you kidding me? You can't take care of you can't take care of the markets you have right now. And your big selling point right now is like, we got these teams coming, next year. That's almost a slap in the face to some of the fans that have been around for a while and understand how these things go.
Let me tell you, though, there is a conspiracy theory running around out there that several high-profile organizations or people have been talking about owning a professional football team, and there is a conspiracy theory right now. It's just a rumor that they are talking about buying into the UFL and UFL teams becoming privately owned by owners. The Kelseys have been talked about. Tom Brady was mentioned. That, by the way, is why people think that a UFL might be going to Tampa Bay because he lives there. Some of that stuff is beginning to churn. And the extra part of this is because the NFL is getting involved and wanting to use it as a spring league needs to be used as a minor league development league. And because they are looking at getting on board, that is why other ownership groups and celebrities are thinking about owning professional football franchises. Let me tell you, I don't think that's true. I don't think it's happening that way. And the reason I don't is because A, it makes too much sense. And B, it's exactly what needs to happen. Like that's how spring football will work, is if the NFL gets involved and these teams are privately run, privately owned.
That would be a great thing.
That's how this should all work. But I don't think it's going to happen because it just makes too much sense. And the UFL doesn't do things that make sense. So it'd be great if that's what happens. I don't think it will. But that is some of what we've heard. But man, the UFL has done a terrible job of taking care of the fan bases that they have. And that is why Houston and to a lesser extent San Antonio feel like they're on shaky ground right now. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. James Palmer says the NFL would need to drop loads of money. And you're right. It's the proper thing to do. Thing is, the NFL prints money. Dropping a load of money is nothing to the NFL if they think there's money in it in the future. And I think there is, because you can keep your NFL product, your 32 teams in the NFL, pristine as it is now as far as competition, but you can expand into 8, 10, maybe even 16 other markets and make more money off more markets without hurting your base product. It's genius, actually, for it to work that way. I just don't know that they will. I just don't know that they'll do it. And Jeremy Garcia just says wrong, which might be the tagline for this show. Wrong. We don't tend to always be right, but that's just how we see things.
Yeah, it's been a disappointing year for the Brahmas and for Brahma fans. We don't know what the future holds. I hope they can, correct things and kind of right the ship a little bit. But, this season was a bit of a disappointment, and I'm not just talking on the field. So,
yep, sure.
It's been rough.
Kelly Cameron says, Philip, love your Zoe pet name, but it's like calling you Phi. Yep. I've been called worse. It's cool.
Piggy?
Yep, there's that one. Alex explained bullspit injuries. I hope Harper's okay. And the new DL Anderson either broken or dislocated his ring finger. Bullseye. Enjoying the win in the stands. Also, I picked up a gift. I picked you all up a gift. Just gotta find a way to get it to you all. I like gifts. I'm a big fan of gifts.
I love gifts.
So I hope you do figure that out. We are the Smoking Guns Podcast. We are a podcast that deals with football in San Antonio, specifically football around the Indoor Football League and the San Antonio Gunslingers. We are brought to you by an amazing group of patrons that spend their time with us, but also a little bit of money to help us make this show go. Those people are Alfred Rodriguez. You've seen him tonight as the Mission Highlighter. James Palmer, along with Jessica Palmer, Jay Washington, James Stubing, Kim and Greg Nelson, and Mo and Iris Ferrante. We love them. We're thankful for them. And we are getting ready for something else that's coming up very soon, RC. Couple of things coming up. You want to talk real quickly about football camp?
I have six things to say.
Okay.
So I say that as a pun because the 6-shooters are having a camp on June 28th. They will be hosting a summer camp from ages 4 to 17. And so they divide it up between 2 age groups. So if you have someone that you love, care about, granddaughter, daughter between the ages of 4 and 12, for $85, you can have what they're calling in full bloom. It's going to be Saturday, June 28th from 8 to 12. They'll be able to learn dances, cheer chants, do crafts, play games, and take photos. And that camp is going to be, you also get a free t-shirt, palms, a snack. You get to do the snacks. Now, if you have an older child that wants to participate, then they have the red, white, and you. And this camp is for anyone who wants to participate. It's same, June 28th. Time is the same from 8 to 12, but the ages is from 13 to 17 years old. And so with this camp is a little bit different. You'll have photo opportunities. You'll have a pro style palm routine with the 6-shooters. You'll learn technique class with Coach Cassie. There's a Q&A with the 6-shooters. So for both different age levels, they have different activities. And that's very important because your child is going to get learn skills at their age level, at their development. So that's really, really exciting. Again, you get free t-shirt, palms, snacks, and the most important thing, you get 4 tickets to that game on July 5th. That's key. So you can come, they can come to camp, and then that evening you can enjoy the game. The other thing that I want to talk about is what is everyone going to wear for retro night? So I'm contemplating if I should dress up like Mrs. Roper or if I should dress up like a hippie. So I want to know what you think I should dress up as. Whatever costume gets the most votes, I will dress up as. And I'm curious to know how you're going to dress up. So if you can post that in our comments, that would be great. I love looking back at the comments. And I can't wait to see you on Saturday. If you come look for me, or if I come talk to you and interview you live, you will get one of those can toppers. And so I really want to interact with the fans. So come look for me. If you see me walking around, I'll stop you. I interviewed 2-3 minutes. Tell me about why you like coming to the games. I will give you one of those free can toppers from the Smoking Guns.
Yeah, that 6-shooters camp is the 27th? 8th. And the weekend before, on the 20th, the San Antonio Gunslingers football team will have football camp for students as well. If you have a child that would like to participate in either one of those opportunities, reach out to the Smoking Guns podcast. You can find us online on social media at Smoking Guns Pod, Smoking No G Guns with a Z P-O-D. Or you can email the program at smokinggunspod@gmail.com. And we would love to sponsor students, sponsor kids for either of those camps.
Yes.
So reach out.
It's $85 for the 6-shooters. I don't know how much it is for the camp for the football.
Right.
But we will sponsor at least one person attending the 6-shooter camp.
Yeah. So we would love to sponsor kids. The way we're able to do that, the way we have a little bit of money is going back to those patrons we were just talking about, those folks that have signed on. If you want to be a part of that and sending kids to camp, you can go on to patreon.com/smokinggunspod. That's again, Smoking No G Guns with a Z, P-O-D, and sign up at a $5, $10, or $20 a month level to help us make the show go and send some kids to football camp and 6-shooters camp later on. With all that being said, when it comes to putting the best indoor football experience on the field and off the field together, you're not going to find that in Vegas or Tulsa. It's not up in Bay Area. It's not over in Jacksonville.
Nope.
The best indoor football experience, when you're looking for that, remember the 210. It's got something to say.
Bang, bang.
All right, and we're clear. Thanks so much for those of you that are hanging out. All camps are the same price. That's football and 6-shooters. Please get your kiddos signed up for those opportunities. And if you know of someone that just needs help, let us know, and we will absolutely do everything we can. We do not ever want to see anybody miss out simply over a price tag. We'll make sure as a show we do everything we can to get them in and get them involved. We don't want to see anybody miss out. Please like, rate, and review the show anywhere you run across it. Please download the audio version that comes out tomorrow morning, even if you don't listen to it. And we will see you guys all Saturday night, retro night. Goons up.
Can't wait. Goons up.
Never say die. Goonies never say die. Hey, you guys.